Alright, this video is about me reside my house. So, if you see my I sold my house without an agent video, you'll have the preface to why I ended up residing my house. My house was very old with composite shingles that was installed over the top of the original wood siding that potential buyers were mistaken for asbestos and were scared away. In no way did I want to take on this job, so I started calling in local siding specialists to give me an estimate. I really wasn't prepared for the price that was quoted to me. The quote was for more than $18,000 for a less than 1,200 square foot house. In case you were wondering, it was almost double what the going rate should have been, but obviously he didn't need the work. So I went on a fact-finding mission to see what it would take to do this on my own. I priced out the permit through the town building department and a dumpster rental, which I would need for a week. I had to calculate the amount of materials to order and to have it delivered. I pulled out a tape measure and took down the area measurements of the exterior of my house. Then opened up my Visio program and created some drawings and inputted the numbers I had recently taken down. The Visio program wasn't required, but it made things easier to keep things organized. I took my drawings and measurements down to the supply house, and together we figured out how much siding, J-channel soffit, rolled aluminum flashing, and outside corners I would need. I also had to price a brake rental. It is impossible to do any of the aluminum bends without a brake, and there are quite a few to make around windows, doors, eaves. I priced it out about $200 for 3 days at a local rental facility. So after buying the material, renting the dumpster and brake, and paying for the permit, I was close to 25% of what was previously quoted price. With this in mind, I decided to bite the bullet and move forward with doing it myself. I ended up borrowing a couple of 20-foot extension ladders from my neighbors, along with an aluminum plank extension. I bought a couple of ladder jacks at Home Depot and was on my way. Since I had no plans of getting help with this project, I had to be very strategic as to what I ordered and when. Since I had to remove the outer layer of shingles, my first choice was to go buy some cheap tarps to stay shingles that were being removed. The dumpster gets charged by the day, so I got far enough into removing the shingles before I called them. I then called for the supply house to deliver the siding materials. A few days later, they made the delivery, still well before I needed it, but I had the room in the yard to store it. After exposing the original wood shingles, which were in good shape, but because all of the nail holes from the outer layer, I had to get bundles of furring strips to level it off. I then went over the furred out wood shingles with the 3/8 inch foam insulation. All of this nailing prompted the purchase of an air compressor and several nail gun attachments. I went the cheap route with nail gun and compressor at Harbor Freight. So now the shingles were removed, the furring strips were in place, the insulation was installed. I had to rent the brake. I measured out all of the bends I would have to make and then pre-bend all of the aluminum. I ended up having to reframe my windows and then wrap them in the aluminum before I could start doing the siding. Remember, it's $200 for the 3-day rental. So I was an aluminum bending fool for those days. I did rely on the manufacturer's website video on how to do the installation, and it was a big help. They explained how to measure, how to fasten, and best practices depending on your application and climate. I ended up using a CertainTeed product, which was fine, but I'm not endorsing or hating on the product. It was relatively easy to install once the initial learning curve was done. My 70-year-old dad helped, but he was limited range of motion. He was creative and rigged up a pool skimmer handle with a folder clip taped to the end. I would yell down some measurements and he would cut and raise them to me. Wow, did it save some legwork on the ladders. It took me about 3 weeks from start to finish and saved more than 12 grand. A project of this size was daunting, and thinking back, I was really nervous about taking it on myself, but definitely worked out for the best. So this video is not for it's not meant to be advice, but to price the stuff out on your own. At least you when you call in a professional, you will have the option of knowing what things cost before you agree on using a professional. Good luck.